Okay, I've started
Okay.
the recording again.
So I'm going to read a few of the questions that were in the chat box, but as Vic said, if you can indicate either by turning your camera on or using the reaction button and maybe put like the thumbs up that you want to be unmuted and speak, that might be a good thing to think about here. Vic, our first question is from Kathy. She wants to know, regarding local evaluation, can the fast reading and math scores work? They only have fall 2019 and winter 2019.
Yes, we accept any assessment.
Okay. The next question is from Liz. What will we do about this year when school districts are not allowing partners in because of COVID?
Well, as an evaluator, they've signed an assurance. You may have to do a Zoom meeting and they can send you the data electronically. So, I mean, there's ways that you can still get this done. You know, it would be nice if we could still do face-to-face meetings, but we want to make sure the kids are safe. But the data and interviews, they could set something up with a Zoom meeting where parents could come into the library one at a time and you could talk with them over Zoom. So, you know, we may have to do things differently.
Okay. The next question is also from Kathy. On the outcomes page in the APR, I have teacher surveys, so I'm going to use those. I don't have state assessments, so I cannot use that point. I can use FAST scores on the local evaluation outcomes, though. I can also use students who did not pass to another grade level. Oh, excuse me, who did pass to another grade level, but not individual grades. Is that acceptable? So she has more, but I'll let you answer that first part first.
Okay, well, there's a lot of pieces to that. Number one, yes, we will let you use any assessment that you have because a lot of folks do special assessments, especially because these are at-risk kids and you're trying to find out where they are academically, and we will accept any of those. And yes, we will accept grades. You saw that I had checked all the boxes, and yes, we will accept the teacher surveys. We're going to use any means possible to provide a measure that these kids that are in the program have had some academic growth. Notice that I'm not saying proficiency. That may be the one thing we cannot answer now, but growth, we can certainly speak to that. We want to do our best to show that this program is important for the children. That we're not a waste of federal funds. So I give you a lot of reasons to be successful.
So the second part of Kathy's question is, did you, Vic, mean on the APR site that grades saying students graduated to the next grade count? I thought the APR question is how many students improved in proficiency. How do you answer that question related to students going on to the next grade?
Well, that's kind of a tricky one there. I mean, there's got to be some growth for them to move on unless the policy is, even if they haven't had growth, they just go on to the next grade. So that one I can't answer with 100% surety. However, I would say that if they passed from like grade 2 to grade 3, that should provide some evidence that there was at least academic growth, even if there wasn't proficiency across the board.
Okay. Cassie, do you need to unmute just to follow up on anything? That was a fairly lengthy question. I just want to make sure you're okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Nikki would like to know if this PowerPoint will be shared through email. And Vic, I think that's okay. Yes, you sent the materials to me, and I'm happy to send that
Absolutely. I
out
sent it
after.
to you to share for me.
I will.
I've
Now,
got a
I'm going to
meeting
take
right
a quick,
after this.
perfect. I'm going to take a quick side note, and I'm going to say, Liz, I think you are the only person whose email I don't have. So if you don't mind dropping that into the chat, I would greatly appreciate that, Liz. Thank you. Heidi. Heidi's question is, because some of our anecdotal collection process was scheduled for April or May of 2020, they had very limited response to parent survey, for example. Is it acceptable to still administer some of those surveys from last year, this September or October?
Sure. You know, here's the thing. I'm seeing in the news that a lot of our programs are having the parents come and pick up meals and materials for the kids if they're at home doing online learning. Anytime these parents are coming in, that's an opportunity for you. You can take a clipboard and just casually ask those questions. You don't have to have a special meeting, but anytime the parents are coming in, you can conduct a survey and get a pulse of their opinions. Like I said, we've got to do things differently if we're going to keep this program effective for kids during this pandemic. And our kids are the ones suffering the most.
Okay, thank you. This next question is from Jennifer. She wants to clarify that the FAST data question. So if we typically use fall and spring data for our outcome evaluation and we don't have spring data this year, are you saying that we should use fall and winter instead? So I'm going to stop there. There's a second part.
Okay. This is not typically what, if you've done a certain data set, this is going to cause, some people to get irritated and say, well, we always use this data, and so providing this other measurement is not going to be the best quality, of course. But, we're working with the kids that are most in need of help, and we have a job to report on their progress. And, we need to use any way possible. So if you have some assessment that's covering this time period, yes, right now you can use that. What we won't want to stay away from is not having any data at all. Sure, it's not the best quality. I'm not going to argue for that point, but we have something.
Okay, so the second part of that question then is, if so, should we use this both in the APR and local evaluation, even if that is not what they wrote, what they were going to do? Should they indicate that this is fall and winter data and the local evaluation, even though it will not match the grant objectives?
Yes, because of the pandemic, we are opening up the ability to use any data that you have to report on the progress of these kids. There's been some other changes that were not in the grant, and that was carryover. We have almost $1 million we provided in carryover, and, we didn't have to provide that, but we got, special permission from the feds because of the pandemic. So like I said, we're going to do things a little bit different, but we need to report that these kids are, making some progress with any kind of data that we have available to us for this year.
Okay. Okay. The next question is from Kayla. For next year's evaluation, she's curious about the attendance requirements. This year, the district that she is evaluating is expecting some challenges with attendance due to COVID. Do you have any thoughts on that, Vic?
Okay, so if you have attendance issues due to COVID, make sure that you document that in your narrative. because if it's related to the pandemic, then, you know, I'm not going to end any program for attendance reasons because of the pandemic. But if you don't mention that it was due to the pandemic, how am I going to know? I mean, you have to give me a valid reason, and that's certainly a good one. And that's how I got all the carryovers pushed through. I had a nice little narrative that said because of the pandemic, programs were not able to spend their funding, and therefore we are requesting carryover, and it went through without a problem. So.
Okay. This next question, and forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Yejin would like to know if they have FAST assessment data for fall 2020, but not spring 2020. Can they use the fall 2020 FAST assessment results for proficiency in GEPRA? Sorry, I kind of bit my tongue there.
Right now we're in fall 2020, and so keep in mind that may not be relevant. We're reporting on last year's progress in the local evaluation. So if you had fall 2019 data, then yeah.
She just corrected herself, yes.
Okay. Got to watch those dates on things.
So, okay. So if your question was not responded to appropriately, again, please give us like a thumbs up or a symbol, and we'll be sure to address that further. I am going to move on quick to Susan's question. Won't average or daily attendance for the 2019-2020 data be significantly impacted because schools shut down? Our overall attendance numbers won't look good when we look at the entire year. How do we reconcile that? Is that through the COVID discussion part of the evaluation?
Yes. All right, here's another thing. Because it's Iowa, you may have a flood one year. And we certainly had that in various, western part had it one year, a couple years earlier, the eastern part had it. Cedar Rapids will maybe be talking about the derecho. So the pandemic is another disaster that we can't control. And whatever that is, and if it impacts the program, you write about that in the narrative, and provide as much documentation as possible, because that's not a program's control. And, I'm not going to, lower the hammer on anybody because, they had, kids that couldn't come in because of the pandemic.
Okay. So Vic, that takes care of all the questions in the chat. But please feel free to take this opportunity to add a question, or again, indicate that you'd like to be unmuted and ask a question verbally. Okay. Well, unless somebody's typing, Vic, it looks pretty good right now. So again, I've collected everybody's attendance and emails, and I will be sending an email out to you later today, probably maybe tomorrow morning. So I will send you the link to the recording. I will also send the copies of the PowerPoint, and Vic also provided a couple other documents that might be beneficial to you. So, oh, I'm sorry, we do have another quick question. This is from Sarah. She says, other than our own website, where are we supposed to post our local evaluation?
Well, if it's a community group, it should be on the community group website. If it's a school district, it should be on the school district website.
Okay.
You may not have access to a school district website, and so the program director will arrange that it's posted, and they should be able to provide you with that URL.
Sarah, I would also say that I know a couple of sites probably more than a couple, also utilize their social media to either drive people to their website where they can find their local evaluation document, or have even posted it to social media as well. So that might just be another idea for you. So, okay. Does anybody else have any other questions for today? All right. So Vic, I think you're good to stop recording.